Okay, I lost you there for a second, but I just named this one Sky Edit so I knew what I had changed. Okay, so we're going to close that out and go to the next. I had to restart, so not sure if I mentioned that I only use JPEG and RAW. So I don't use TIFF, I don't use PNGs or DNGs or any of that. And there's your gorgeous image, which I feel like you should put in your portfolio. It's beautiful. And then this one, I think Cody mentioned as well that, you know, you try to saturate the grass. And what happened was it also turned your pup a little bit green. So I want to show you how to select the subject to edit just one part. So there is your picture edited. And I'm going to use magnetic lasso and just select out your subject. Let me start again. Looks like I went off the path a little bit there. It's also very quick to do it in Camera Raw by selecting the subject. This works really well if you have like dark against light. Like this image is, you know, pretty easy to trace. And the magnetic lasso is just going to kind of cling to where it thinks is the edge, so it's way faster. But, you know, Photoshop's getting better and better. It's getting to be smarter about selecting subject or sky or things that we normally want to change. Okay, so once you close the selection, hold on one second. Anyway, once you get to the end and your lines connect, you can, I don't know if you can see this, but they turn into like a little animated line, and most people call those the marching ants. So now the pup is selected, and we can do some things with that. We can go to hue saturation. We can, instead of master, we can go to just greens, and we can desaturate the greens. Take those greens out of there. And then we can do just the opposite as well. We can go up to select inverse, and now we can just work on the background. So now I can make that background really, really saturated. Oh, looks like it's still selected the pup. Let's try that one more time. That's still the pup. So many weird things are happening to me today. I just can't even figure out what's happening. It's just, I swear it's the recording. You can see it. Okay, so apparently I've entered some kind of bizarro world. I don't know why things just aren't working in this recording, but normally when you select with magnetic lasso, selects the subject, and then you select inverse, and then you can work on the background. However, that doesn't seem to be cooperating with me tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and do Camera Raw as an alternative, and I'm going to do a mask, select subject, and now I can get rid of those greens. So I can, let's see, try taking the tint the other direction. Oh, I think that works pretty well. Maybe warm up the temp a little bit. Get rid of some of those greens. Okay. Obviously, it would have been easier if we started from scratch, from the original, but, you know, things can be fixed. Okay. So, we're done with that. Okay. Done with this. And then, of course, we would save it. Alrighty. Bryce got some great comments too. Love the water photo, gorgeous. And Abby is our next victim. Okay. I'm so happy you learned, like you said, quite a bit. That's wonderful. And about sorting, really organizing. Bridge is an organizer. Some people do simple editing in Bridge. And what they're talking about really is just sorting, as you've seen. And then beginning printing, you know, in just a few more weeks, we're going to be printing images. And so that's a really great video to refer back to. It is complicated, but you'll see once we get there, it'll be fine. Okay, and then healing and modifying colors. Okay. Yes. YouTube videos, you know, YouTube University is your best friend. Because there is so much. My gosh. Photography is just so vast. It's impossible to cover everything. So one thing that I do, even if, you know, like I've changed to a new version of a software, I will ask, you know, my search engine how to do this in this version of the software. Port edited pictures from Bridge. I would just save them as a JPEG, and then make sure that you are keeping all your images in one folder or making subfolders. Yeah, that's just something to get used to. But I think your images are beautiful. I love seeing this picture in color. Gorgeous. And lovely and soft. I feel like you chose just certain colors to highlight there, the warm colors. Yes, beautiful, and you got some great feedback. So well done, Abby. No problems, really. Okay, here's Sid. And Sid did something for me that I really, really appreciate. She showed before and after. That is super helpful for your viewer. And I would suggest it. I didn't want to require it, but because you had showed these images last week, and I can always refer back to those, but it does make it faster and easier for your viewers to see exactly what you've done quickly. So this is your edited version, and I like how you warmed up the colors and cropped it a little bit. Be careful about cropping because you always want to go with the same aspect ratio, the same dimensions as the one you shot. So you see the difference here. And here it looks like you increased the exposure, brightened up those colors. Yes, it is difficult to get it exactly, but it does take some time to figure things out. It's hard to make things perfect. Here, I love how this came out. Wow, gorgeous. Just warming up those colors and increasing that saturation, lovely. And here, increasing the clarity, perfect, just perfect. Okay, so great job, great job. Everybody thought so as well. Good job, Sid. Here's Astrid. Yes, all the parts of Adobe are in the Creative Cloud. It's kind of nice, actually, that it's all located in one place. And if you end up getting really into this, you know, the Creative Cloud costs about the same as just Photoshop, really, if you can get a deal. I got a deal and got it for 20 bucks for everything. It's crazy. More than I could ever use. Okay, so it looks like you livened up your images by adjusting the brightness and saturating the colors. That's gorgeous. I think you mentioned about how you love the colors of the train cars. So I hope you noticed that you can select part of your image, or you can just go to Hue Saturation, and where it says Master, you can select a color, a single color, instead of Master, so just by clicking on it. So say you wanted to saturate that green, or, I mean, that looks a little bit violet to me, or so does this one. Maybe more red violet or blue violet. So you can choose to highlight just a single color. Great sky. I just love the contrast between that blue and the yellow. Gorgeous. So warm. Lovely. Okay. Got a lot of great feedback there too. Good job. Okay, and here's Belinda. Alright, Belinda. Can't say I remember this one, so I don't know if you cropped that out of another image, but looks like you were maybe trying to use rule of thirds. The easy way to think of a rule of thirds is to move your subject from the center. I would honestly call this one giving the object room for movement. So, you know, room for that helicopter to move forward. So I understand about having trouble once you get started, and then the whole layers thing and flattening. You know, it is rather complicated. Some of it is really beyond the scope of this class, but some people just get addicted, and so I try to provide as much information as possible, and you can take it as far as you want to go. Yes, so it really just compressed all the layers into a single layer, so that's what flattening is. And it makes it into a smaller file as well. And we're going to get into panoramas, so don't you worry about that. We'll be doing that. Yep, camera raw and Photoshop, that's everything for me. This is beautiful. I love, love, love the saturated colors. Some might say this is just a bit too obvious when there's a sign, but I really like the contrast between the two. And plus this sign doesn't really make much sense, does it? Okay, stop sign ahead, but where? It must be really far away, under the bridge, over the hill. So that's kind of funny. With this one, I can see that you saturated the greens, and I probably would have selected out the subject here in Camera Raw Filter, unless it's a raw file. And then you can do that easily in there by, you know, masking and selecting the subject. But here it looks a little bit green, where I think it would improve if it were all, you know, that blue-violet. But that's really the only critique I have. I think it's lovely. Great, great, great job, Belinda. And let's go to Donovan. So Donovan is learning about editing, and sounds like you're enjoying it, Donovan. So that's great. And I see that these are some concept photos. The only thing I have to say about that is, one, I have not seen these photos before. So I have no idea what you've done. I can't tell between the original and the edited photo. So I would need to see the original. The other thing I want to say about that is, please only use photos for this class that were taken during the course. So I know that you took these photos in the summertime, working on another project. So I would say that going forward, please remember to only use photos for the course. For now, if you could just send me the originals so I can see the difference, then I can give you credit for that. Editing. Here I think I would do, in Camera Raw Filter, I would do that linear gradient. Take it down, and so these are like washed out highlights, so blown out. I do like the glow effect though. I think that's nice. But I would bring some detail back into that sky. And I mean, they're nice images. I just don't know what they originally looked like. So if you could share that with me, that would be so helpful. Okay, and then here we've got Antoine. So Antoine, I agree with you about, the more you shoot, the more you learn. Seriously. I see that you took new photos for this assignment, which is fine, because they were taken during the time period. But I, again, don't know the difference between before and after. So, because I haven't seen these images before, please share the originals with me so I can make sure to give you credit for editing. This one, I think, is a little bit overboard. Only on the blue. I mean, it made the sky look wonderful. I think the greens are a little bit too blue. I mean, it's a look. It could be an artistic choice. But I would probably do the linear gradient just to do the sky. Or you can go to, in Photoshop, you can go to image adjustments, hue saturation. And instead of using the master, which is like the whole entire image and all the colors, for saturation, you can select a single color just by clicking on master. I mean, it's pretty. And then this one, again, I don't know what the original looked like, and it appears to be a photo of an artwork. So I wouldn't recommend taking pictures of another person's work just because it already is an artwork, So you want to capture your own image. So where this one is, I don't know if this is, if you created this or if your sister did. I think it's about your sister. But again, I would need the original to even compare. Okay, and Rachel. Okay, Rachel. So great. You saw that bridge is really just about organizing and storing. And I think you mean Camera Raw filter there. So this is really a look. I get the feeling that you like a desaturated photo. And almost a lack of clarity, Sorry about that loud movie in the background. So I am curious if that's intentional. You like that softness. It does have a feeling of a glow to it, so I do like that. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. This one feels like more of a global saturation for the greens. So everything appears to be green, even the wood, even the red flower. So you could do things like selecting part of the image and then leave that out of the green saturation. I think I showed you in Photoshop, if you go to hue saturation, that's image adjustments, hue saturation, and you just select a single color instead of master, you can just adjust a single part, just one color, or you can select the subject. Camera raw filter is great for that. This one is just gorgeous. I love the color you've created in the sky. You've enhanced it. And really nice contrast here. So this one is just perfect and lovely. And I appreciate the changes that you made. Okay, here we go with Lauren. Okay, sizing and printing. Yes, you are so right. Like, I think what she's saying is, you know, say you try to print out an image that is like 72 pixels per inch, which is a low resolution. And maybe it's only 1 by 1, the file. So it's really small, not a lot of pixels. And you try and blow that up. It's just going to pixel like crazy. And it's going to be very noisy, speckled. So yeah. So resizing your image before you're printing to the size that you are printing, super smart. And yeah, I'm not saying that Walgreens is bad, but we're going to experiment with that. Your first image I haven't seen before, so I'm going to need the original of this so I can compare. And what I see you've done here is really just completely flatten the image so that the detail in the shadows and the highlights have become shapes rather than you know, a gradual like light to dark. So it's not that I mind, like it's like posterized almost. It is a look, but I would like to see the original because I haven't seen this one before. This is just gorgeous. I love how bright the colors are and the way the car window is framing that sunset. It's lovely. And then this one, really, your pup looks like a magical creature. So clear and cute, just like a little stuffed animal, I mean. So cute. Over the top cute. But very nice clear photo. We've got some distracting details, but it was smart of you to use a shallow depth of field to blur that out. Okay, and this is another image I haven't seen, so let's make sure we get the original so I can compare and talk to you more about editing, because that's really what this week was about. Okay, and lastly, Bryce turned in Unit 2, even though I think we've seen a couple of these already. This is my favorite, and it is very similar to Lauren's idea, but I mean, what an excellent idea for a frame. What a contrast between the bright and the dull and the light and the dark, the, you know, saturation and the desaturation. So that is a great picture. I'd save that portfolio. As far as centering the subject, rule of thirds, simplicity, okay. I see all of those things except rule of thirds, because rule of thirds you've got to imagine, you know, a third from the right, a third from the left, a third from the top, a third from the bottom. And then you're going to place your subject on one of the intersections. That's rule of thirds. It could also work with horizons or vertical lines as well, but it's not going to be centered. This one I think is really interesting. I love the textures and the clarity. Very nice. And then this would also be centering and getting up close. Filling the frame. Okay, good. And, oh, she's beautiful. So, let's see what you call that one. Not necessarily rule of thirds, other than, you know, maybe the horizon line. And, yes, definitely getting up close. And, you know, we could fix that sky like in a heartbeat. And there's your pup in the realistic colors. So you could take this photo and edit it so you're just saturating that green by itself. Okay, and this one we worked on and added some color back in, and there's your leading lines. Very nice. This one is kind of more like following a pattern, you know. It's like a dot to dot to dot to dot, leading our eye through the composition. So it is a nice composition. I wouldn't say it's necessarily leading lines, but wow, that turned out to be a great picture for you. Okay, everybody, I have emailed you. I'm going to upload this video, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.